Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to show you the overlock machine W6N454D. This is our overlock machine for finishing and overcasting fabric edges. It's always a secondary machine, that is, you need a sewing machine for regular sewing because this machine cannot do a straight stitch or a buttonhole stitch. However, you can use it to finish all the raw edges of your garments, just as you would find them in ready-to-wear garments. This is a really good option, and you can no longer distinguish home-sewn garments from RTW clothing. The stitch pattern is the same, so we have 4 different thread tensions here. This is a 4-thread machine. The thread tensions can be set individually and independently of each other. This is the wheel for the stitch length. This is for setting the differential feed. What is this? Differential feed means that the feed dog on this machine is split in the middle. We can have the front part feed faster or slower than the back. This means you can crease or stretch your fabric. This machine also comes with a rolled hem device down here. This means we can sew a rolled hem without changing the throat plate or the foot. Over here we also have a stepless stitch width adjuster, and if you take a look here, you'll see that this machine is very easy to thread because everything is color-coded, and of course there is also a drawing. You can also find all the information in the manual. With this machine you can sew with 4 threads, with 3 threads, wide and narrow seams and rolled hems. I'll also show you a flat seam later and how to use it for ruffling. Most people are afraid of threading with the overlock machine because 4 threads can be quite intimidating. A regular sewing machine only has 2. We'll start with the second thread from the right. I know the manual says to start on the far right, but I like starting with the second from the right. Now you go down here. You need to put this in here, like this. You see, up here. Now I have to go back for a second. Here you can always see the colored dots. When you begin with one color, thread it through to the end. That's red. I also used red thread, so down here. Now in here is only one red dot. Guide the thread into that hook, then up here into the right-hand looper from front to back. It's not difficult at all. Let's see. So there it is. Pull the thread to the back. Make sure not to pinch anything here, and I always place the thread between the foot and the cutter blade, and then I pull it diagonally to the back left, like this. That can stay there. The first thread is done. That's okay actually. Now the second. This is a little trickier. We'll have to go through here. Just as before, through one hole, to the back and through the other. Down, that's the same again, there. It has to be hooked in here. That was smooth. Now we have to go through here and through here. Let's see if we can do this all in one. Yes, that's that. Now this thread needs to be pulled through to the left, and you see up here in front of my finger there's a hook. The thread must go in there from the bottom up. There it must go in. Now you need to turn the hand wheel. That means you have to bring the looper completely to the left to insert the thread from the back. Grab it with the tweezers. Pull out a length of thread to make sure it's in. Then you need to bring the thread to the front. That means you grab it here with the tweezers and pull the whole thread through to the front. That's all right. Turn the hand wheel towards yourself so you can insert the thread through the looper. That was all really, and that's what everyone's afraid of. You have to have practiced that once or twice, and then it's not really a problem anymore. I place the thread between the foot and the blade. But before that, it has to go under this looper. It's important to guide it under the hook to the back, otherwise the threads will become all tangled up and tear. The upper threads are not a problem at all, very similar to a regular sewing machine. You insert it through here. This is the blue thread. Let's pull it a little longer. In there, down, around, up. Just pull it around here. Here's another thread hook, and then we just have to pull it through the needle eye. This is a little fiddly. But now it's in. Got it. And put it in the back. Now the second. It's the same principle again. Pull it through here. Then again from the top. Down, around the bottom. Guide it over the top here. Behind there, and then through the left needle. Yes, that's that. And with that, the overlock machine is completely threaded. How long did it take us? 3-4 minutes. That's bearable. So we've now finished threading the 4-thread overlock machine. Now let me show you what you use the 4-thread seam for. You have two fabrics that you sew together. So basically it's two fabrics that are sewn together, seam allowances are cut and the edges are finished, all at the same time. All you have to do is place the fabric under the foot and you're good to go. The machine cuts here. This will be gone in a minute. And everyone can see it's a seam, a safety seam and overcasting stitches. And just look at the super neat stitch pattern of the machine. The machine is really fast and your seams are stretchable. That's not a problem. So in this case we did 3 operations in one. We've overlocked, we've sewn together and we've trimmed. And if you're being completely honest, looks like a ready-to-wear seam. Now if you want to also ruffle your fabric, no problem. That's what the differential feed is for. We'll have to take a look here on the side. You change the differential feed from 1, where both parts of the feed dog run simultaneously, to 2, or at least as far as it goes. And you also change the needle thread tensions, set them to 6 or 7. The higher you set it, the more distinguished the ruffling will be. And you need to increase the stitch length, you mustn't forget that. We'll set the stitch length to 4. So now let's make a really nice ruffle seam here. Just take a look. If you look at this, we've got this really nicely ruffled. That's not a problem. This means that the machine can do ruffling via the differential feed and adjustment of the thread tensions. Let's go down with the stitch length again. I'll set it to a regular 3. Here I'll set it back to a regular 1 and I'll also reduce the thread tensions back to 3. Normally the machine produces an optimal stitch pattern when all tensions are set to 3. You can also use knit fabrics for sewing. If you use this machine for finishing knits, this machine does that perfectly. But often there's a problem. The more loosely knit the fabric is, the more it gets stretched and distorted under the pressure foot. So what do? You change the differential feed and set it to creasing. You don't have to do anything else at all. This means that the front part of the feed dog now runs faster than the rear part. And if I now cut and overlock something like this, even in the direction of stretch, the fabric will stay smooth. You can really see how the machine pushes the fabric together. And if you're being completely honest now, there's a real difference between this and that. You can process this fabric right away without spending hours of ironing it. It works. So far, we've always worked with 4 threads. 4 threads gives you the actual seam and a safety seam. This is a good idea if you want to sew 2 layers together, or if you're working with loose mesh knitwear, I'd always work with 4 threads. But if I'm just overlocking something, I can also remove the left needle and then I only have 3 threads. This is similar to overcasting with a sewing machine. That's to say, sewing a normal zigzag. But please do me a favor, remember to tighten the screw a little bit after that, so you don't lose it. Now you can start overlocking with 3 threads. Place your fabric underneath. Now you see, the fabric is a little creased. I forgot to set the differential feed back. It's no problem at all. That's it. So, we have a seam here like in ready-to-wear clothing, only a little narrower than the 4-thread seam. A 3-thread overlocking seam. Looks pretty good to me. Works with all types of fabrics. The same can be done with thin fabrics, something like this for example. Then you have 2 options. Either you want it to look like this. Now this is a very thin fabric and this overlocking machine works independently of the fabric. The stitches are formed on the throat plate and not on the fabric like with a sewing machine. That's why we can afford to do an overlocking seam in this thin fabric. With a sewing machine that would have been creased and distorted. You could also sew a rolled hem here. Set the stitch length to R, that's up here. Set the back thread tension to at least 5, you may want to make it 5.5 or 6. And here's something important, you need to pull the overcasting looper to the front. I'll open the flap, push the blade over and tilt it forward. Push the blade bar in here and now you can switch from S for standard to R for rolled hem. Then take the blade back up. I'll show you how to do that in detail later. And now we have the possibility to sew a really nice rolled hem. Yes, all the settings are correct. So we did 3 things. We adjusted to rolled hem, we increased the tension and we pulled the overcasting looper to the front. With these settings you'll produce excellent rolled hems. There you see the difference. That's the regular white hem, and that's where it's all rolled in. Now I'll return all settings to normal. Please pay attention to how you do that. Push the blade in, turn it to the front. Now you can move the blade bar away here and set back to standard. This is how you would do that. If you pull the pink knob to the front, you've got rolled hem again. I'll leave that at rolled hem for now. I want to do a flat seam. For this I need to do the following. Adjust the thread tensions. I need 0.5 for the front thread. Here I need tension 3 and here 5. That's for a flat seam. Please pay close attention now. This is not in the manual. I'll set this dial to R, this one at 1. But what else do I need to do? I need to change the needle. That means I have to take this thread out and I have to use the left needle. So pull out the threads a little. Now you've removed the stitched loops and the needle will come out. When changing the needle, you can make mistakes. You see there's an R for right and an L for left. I'll loosen the screw and pull the needle out. That's not a problem yet. But what is very important, if I now insert the needle on the left, I also have to open the screw on the left. And I must not tighten the screw for the right needle, otherwise the space in the needle shank is too tight. Then I can't get it up there. Now I'll tighten the L screw. And always loosen both screws first. Insert the needle and only then tighten both screws. And don't do it any other way, otherwise you're in trouble. Now I have to thread another thread here, like this. And another, like this. Down, up, behind here, and that's it. Did I do it correctly? Yeah, that should work. Then we'll put that one through there. Perfect. So now we are ready for a flat seam. A flat seam is a decorative seam. I'll place my fabric under here. It also has to be folded because I want to pull it apart afterwards. Now you're good to go. Sew through to the end and cut it off. We see now on the wrong side the seam is open, so I can pull this open here. And you need to do that, otherwise it won't work. So let's see how this looks on the right side. And now you can see that we've made a wonderful flat seam here. And this is what it looks like afterwards. Again, as a reminder, what did we have to do? The needle thread tension between 0 and 1 to 0.5. The second one can be neglected because there's no thread in it. Then this looper tension to 3 and this to 5. Stitch length at regular 3, differential feed at regular 1.0. Important, the left needle must be installed and the machine must be in rolled hem position. You have now seen the essential functions of an overlock machine. The things a 4-thread overlock machine with differential feed needs to sew: the 4-thread seam, the 3-thread seam, rolled hem, flat seam and ruffling. These are the things that you'll really use over and over again. And as usual with W6, you have of course the 10-year warranty on the machine. And of course you also have a detailed operating manual, so that you get all the information for correct operation. The manual is easy to understand, and the machines come pre-threaded. That means the threads on the overlock machine are cut here, so it's threaded up to there and cut here, and then if you want, you can tie on the threads here, raise the foot, set the tensions to 0, raise the foot, and then you can pull the threads through. So you don't have to worry about threading it right away. Although this is also very important because the thread may break. So you should know how to do it. Then just watch this video and it will guide you through.